What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Mikey, the Badger Garcia, and Terence Bud Crawford. And this is what Mikey Garcia had to say about Terence Crawford. He said that I want to challenge Terence Crawford. I would face Terence Crawford if and only if and when he decides to leave Top Rank with Bob Arum. Now, backstory about Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is a 4-division world champion. He tried to pick up his 5th division, and he came up short against Errol Spence. Errol Spence was just too big. He outboxed Mikey. Mikey couldn't get to him. It was more like a fight where he tried to test himself and he came up short. But that was also the fight that gave Errol Spence the right to brag about how many tickets that he could sell, because he was facing a fighter that does have a huge fan base, that does have a country behind him, that does put people in the seats. And his name is Mikey Garcia. Okay. Mikey Garcia also was with Top Rank. Okay, and then this is explaining why why Mikey Garcia doesn't want to fight Terence Crawford in his current situation with his current promotional company, because Mikey Garcia was once with Bob Arum in Top Rank. He was with them both. I mean, he was with that particular outfit, and it was very, very, very bad. Okay, it wasn't good. He had to sit out. He was really pretty much robbed of 2 years, even though he's still a good fighter and still has produced a lot of wins with the Feaster fight, the Broner fight, those guys like that. But he was inactive because of Bob Arum. Okay, and then see, the thing about Mikey Garcia ain't the only person that has had problems with Bob Arum due to money. You see what I'm saying? So he had to battle Bob Arum outside the ring in court because of money situations, discrepancies, and complications, rather, right? Because of that. So he waited that out. So he wouldn't want to take that route again, messing with Bob Arum, because him and Bob Arum, as far as negotiations and business-wise, they're done. Okay? Now we look over on Bob Arum's side. Bob Arum is a type of fighter, very sorry, is a type of promoter that he has a bad habit of dissing and dismissing and treating his pastime talent or fighters like shit. He treats them very biasly. He's a very sore, I wouldn't say sore loser, but he's a guy that he's not very good at dealing with people that he was once with. It's almost like with him, he has a bad, what's the word for this guy? Bob Arum. Bob Arum is a guy that he has bad blood with you if you leave him. And he also tells you if he has so many issues with people over money, that should tell you something. Pacquiao, De La Hoya, Mayweather, Garcia, Mikey Garcia. So there's a lot of people that has problems with Bob Arum, but Bob Arum's the kind of guy that would rather shit on you than help you if you was once with him. Okay, Counterpunch. So back to Mikey Garcia, I can understand why he's not fighting someone like Terence Crawford now because of Bob Arum. And Bob Arum doesn't work with anybody that he used to work with. That's why he disses Andy Ruiz. That's why he disses Mikey Garcia. He said he wouldn't fight with Mikey Garcia at all. That's why the Mikey Garcia versus Loma fight really didn't happen. Everybody wanted to blame Mikey for going to fight Errol Spence, which really wasn't a good move. But at the same time, the move that everybody wanted him to make was to fight Lomachenko, but that wasn't going to happen. Why? Because Bob Arum wouldn't allow it to happen. Now you look at a lot of shit that is being revealed because of Bob Arum. Bob Arum didn't want the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight. It was just too big. It was over his head. But if it was up to him, he wouldn't want that fight. He wouldn't want that fight to happen because he has bad blood with Bob Arum. Bob Arum, according to Floyd Mayweather, still owes him money to this day from the Arturo Gatti fight, right? So, yes, Bob Arum has a reputation of not paying people the way they're supposed to be paid, and for that reason, they end up in court. You know what I'm saying? Or these fighters end up doing something ugly or paying themselves out of their contract to get the hell up out of there and away from Bob Arum. So that should tell you something by itself. But Mikey did say this. He said that Terence Crawford is a very good fighter. He said that Terence Crawford beat him in the amateurs. He also said that Terence Crawford is regarded as one of the best fighters, but he hasn't fought the right opposition to show how good he really is. He hasn't done these particular things, and he hasn't put himself in a situation to fight a guy like me. I'm the best guy to be fighting if I'm Terence Crawford. I would be the guy to fight. So it's one of those things where Mikey Garcia is basically saying, hey, you need to fight me if you want to put yourself in position to fight other people like you claim, you know? And is there some truth to it? Sure there is. Me counterpunching Mikey Garcia, I can understand he don't want to fight Terence Crawford now, right? Because he's with Top Rank. And, you know, I mean, and Bob Arum left a bad taste in his mouth. I get that. But in another thing, but what I don't agree with was what Mikey said, well, Terence Crawford is not fighting the best opposition. I don't think that's true because then again, he beat you. You know what I'm saying? And then when he said that Terence Crawford beat him, he said he didn't like the movement and the moving around that he did. You know, and what does that tell you? That tells you that Mikey Garcia can't really deal with a guy that moves like that. A lot of fighters are like those technically sound counterpunching guys that places their shots. A pure boxer would destroy them a lot of times. They would give them a lot of problems. Let's put it that way. You know, but I think Mikey, if he wants to challenge himself, he would fight somebody that already beat him, like Terence Crawford, that is regarded as one of the best pound for pound. You know, but to say, oh, well, you know, he hasn't fought anyone. Well, he fought you. And if you think you're the shit, well, he's already beat you. It's just the thing now. Now you have to get a revenge or avenge the loss in the professional ranking. So I think it's more beneficial or just as beneficial for Mikey Garcia to fight Terence Crawford than Terence Crawford to fight more Mikey Garcia. Now, I will say this. What Mikey saying is true. Why do you think Errol Spence walks around like his shit don't stink? Because he made those sales. He sold a huge number of pay-per-views on the live gate and on pay-per-view. Why? Because he was with Mikey Garcia, not himself. I have to reiterate, not himself. People really didn't come there to see Errol Spence. They came there to see Mikey Garcia. It was Mikey Garcia's fans that were there for the most part at the end of the day. Okay, so what Mikey's saying is, well, if Terence Crawford needs to bring that Al Heyman marketing strategy on, when you take black and brown and you place them together, and then you have the best results of people buying tickets because, you know, race and different nationalities sell. Now, that's true. That does that. I mean, it happens. It's just like when you take a Puerto Rican and you take a Mexican like Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad and you match them together, or Canelo Alvarez and Miguel Cotto. That was another desired fight because of the nationalities. Okay, the differences between people coming from different places. You know what I mean? And soon kind of looking like different faces in a sense. But I think Mikey, what he's saying, he's vouching to fight Terence Crawford only if he not comes on this side, like I heard other people say, on his side of the street, because Mikey Garcia is not even with PBC. Okay, he's a free agent. So what Mikey's saying is, you get away from Top Rank, we can make the fight together. He doesn't necessarily have to be with PBC. He doesn't have to be with DAZN. But Mikey Garcia, if you made $7 million with DAZN, you know pretty much he's going to be knocking back on DAZN door pretty soon. So I think it's beneficial for Terence Crawford, and this is another incentive why he should leave Bob Arum, besides being disrespected, besides being ridiculed for being so good. I think, honestly, Bob Arum thought that Terence Crawford would be beat. That's why he would justify not paying him. But he had to keep paying him because he kept winning. That's my counterpunch on that. And it made Bob sick because he's a cheap bastard. Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't complain and have that many people complain about you and fucking money. Counterpunch. Okay? There shouldn't be that many people that say the same shit about you. That's like going to a place, working up under a boss, and everybody that worked there and then left there, and a lot of those reasons they left there because of the same fucking boss, more than likely, the chances are the boss has some type of problem, right? Okay, same shit for Bob Arum. They can't work with the boss at that job. That's why they left. They can't work with Bob Arum either. He's the promoter, so they left. Same shit, right? So I think Mikey Garcia is trying to lure Terence Crawford. And I think Mikey, I call him the Badger on this channel, because Mikey Garcia is one of those guys that he's always trying to challenge himself. He's always trying to look for that next best challenge. And I think this is what it is with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia wants to take on Terence Crawford. Why? Because he failed and he dropped the ball with Errol Spence. You know, and Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are rivals. So if he can take out the best pound for pound, he will be over that. And in his way of kind of justifying or avenging his loss with Errol Spence, because he could always say, I came up short against Errol Spence, but I beat Terence Crawford. You see what I'm saying? And if he could beat Terence Crawford, he would then either try to get a rematch with Errol Spence, which is a no-go. I wouldn't want to see that, because I don't think he's going to beat Errol Spence. I don't think he's going to beat Terence Crawford if they ever fought. However, I do think that Mikey Garcia is always a fighter that's trying to challenge himself. Okay? I think he's that type of dude. He wants to be the baddest man on the hill. I like Mikey Garcia for that. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Mikey Garcia calling out Terence Bud Crawford only if he leaves Top Rank. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.